Welcome to the show that gives notice to the unnoticed, face to the unseen, and voice to the voiceless. Voices unheard. This program will give insight about the problems in the Northeast based on the knowledge that exists in the society and on campus.
Beauty, peace, serenity. This is one side of the Northeast. Amazing landscapes and wonderful people lure you to an existence of a lifetime. The Seven Sisters and One Brother region boast of forests and mountains of ecological wonder. The cultures are an explosion of beauty like a rainbow on a rainy day. A gem among gems, a paradise worth the world. But the world has tarnished this gem, reducing its brilliance by murky bloody waters. Abuse, suppression, death. This is the other face of the Northeast.
India's Northeast is an isolated, mysterious part with a lot of heritage and culture in it. On one hand, it is a paradise on earth which is still to be explored by the outside world. On the other hand, it is a land of unrest, disturbance and sacrifice by the people there. Let's ask our audience if Northeast India is a land of peace or a land of unrest.
Of course, the Northeast India is a land of peace with pockets of unrest, because the kind of problems we are facing back home is, it's more or less similar to, the problems that other places in the country are facing. Like, we have the Maoist problem, and then we have Jammu and Kashmir, which is always in a problem, and then we have corruption rampant in Bihar and UP and stuff like that. But I guess the way we have been projected in the media, as in whatever has been reported about the Northeast, has made it sound more like a land of unrest. Because if I have to think back of what is going on back home, we have, more or less the same kind of problem.
Okay, can we have what the others from other than Northeast states have to say about this?
I guess the question is not really whether the Northeast is peaceful or unrest. I think the question is basically, are people in the Northeast generally happy?
Reportedly, there are about 30 insurgent organizations in the northeastern India, and the government has technically ignored this portion for a long time. Now, the issues are raised because the northeastern part of India is mostly bordered by neighboring countries. Let's take a look at what Ms. Azailu has to say about insurgency in the northeast.
The government of India implemented this Armed Special Forces Act of 1958 to curb insurgency. You see, but the impact is that it is, horrendous, because lot of women are being raped and murdered by the armed forces. And many times when the victims' relatives or the victims, if they are alive, lodge a complaint in the court, take their cases in even to the Supreme Court in Delhi, the culprits are not punished, because the act is such a way that it makes the armed forces go scot-free. So, and another important point is this act was implemented in order to curb the number of insurgent groups. However, statistics reveal that, in the past 30 years to 40 years, the number of insurgency groups have increased considerably.
That was a strong point indeed given by her. Can I please take your reactions on that?
Yes, I do agree with Ma'am Azailu, because I myself is one of the victims, let's say. Late in the 1987-88 was happening in the Ukhruli district. So, that effect also it comes to our area. So there is, house-to-house operation. We were not allowed to have a food. All the young and old were called together in one place, and it's happening that time. But at the same time, especially in the rural area, whenever this army comes, especially guys from 18 above, they used to beaten up. So they are suspecting that they also have a link with this underground outfit. So that's because of this harsh, draconian act, the insurgency also, growing up like a virus, let's say.
Okay. Can anyone tell me if you all face the same kind of problem in your states, in your particular area also? Or is it contained to certain places in the Northeast?
See, whenever we talk of this act, we always think in terms of human right. But what I find from my own experience is that in a court of law, you're not guilty till you are proven. But because of this case, I have to prove that I'm not a terrorist, right? But the government has to prove that I'm a terrorist. Now, I have to prove in a court that I'm not a terrorist. This is how the law is reversed because of this act. So, my point is that we should not locate this act only in terms of human right. We have to question whether how India as a nation, what makes it possible for us to imagine and conceive this kind of act and inflict violence on certain map regions.
Can anyone please tell me how women in Northeast react to the injustice being done to women and children in their area?
Yeah, coming from Manipur, I think this question comes directly to me. I would say, I mean, we have seen like the iconic Irom Sharmila, I mean, who's been fasting for the past 10 years. She's going to complete 10 years on the 2nd of November. And then we have seen a lot of protests, I mean, the naked protests by the 10 women in front of the Kangla fort. And then again, we have had a lot of that. But then one thing which we missed out, as in which the story, one side of the story which most of us have missed out is that the problem to women and children does not only come from one side of the coin. That is, in insurgency, two people are involved. That is the army and then the people. And then the armed forces who are like outlaws. So I think women are the ones who suffer the most, and they are suffering from the supposedly protectors, that is the armed forces, and also their own protectors, their family members, or their own relatives, their own people.
Okay. So can anyone tell me if the settlement of armed forces there in Northeast is a solution to insurgency?
I'm actually from Mizoram, so without no doubt that armed force acts is not a solution, because Northeast India, we have experienced insurgency for the past 60 years. Now it still continues. The Northeast India has experienced more than, I think, 125 insurgency groups is about to rise up, and many peace talk has been held, but sometimes the peace talk does not end to be fruitful. On the contrary, it increased the insurgency. So I don't think armed will be the solution. So I think democracy required basic necessity to provide the people.
Okay. I think here is where the role of media comes in. We have our experts giving opinion about the media coverage in the Northeast. Let's take a look at it.
I don't think many people in the mainstream media would even know what the Northeast is about. If you were to ask many of my erstwhile colleagues in the newspaper world as to whether they would be able to name all the states in the Northeast, I can bet my bottom dollar that they won't be able to do it. So, I mean, forget coverage. It just is notionally part of India in the minds of the mainstream media. They take cognizance of the Northeast when there is an accident or there is an attack by extremist organizations of one sort or the other. Other than that, they have no interest in the Northeast. Absolutely none.
I have worked in Delhi, all right, behind a screen, and I found that definitely, just as the other general, citizens also look at Northeast, Northeast has been systematically neglected by the media.
Okay. Now we saw one of our experts saying that Northeast has been systematically neglected. So how many of you go with this point, or do you have a different reality out there?
I think the only problem is not what has been mentioned by these two experts. It's how much coverage you get. That's not only the problem. It's about who produces that image, who produces that narrative of the region. The media based in Kolkata, okay, or in Guwahati, they produce that narrative, the image of the region. It's not about coverage. I think more problem lies with the image or narrative that they produce.
Okay, so you think there is a basic problem with the way they take it ahead, first of all?
Yes.
Okay, so can anyone from other than Northeast answer? Okay, I'll take your point first. Yeah, please.
Last year, I think at the same time, one TV channel from Hyderabad have organized this kind of talk show in the campus itself. So we were expecting that we are supposed to express the development concern about Northeast. But when they come, what they really interested about is the negative side of Northeast. The only thing which attract them is that the negative side. So as long as this kind of page is put on the media, so this problem will still arise, I think.
So we have a visual wherein the campus students have spoken about the insurgency and the media coverage issues in the Northeast. So let's take a look at it.
We know about Northeast India, the military ruling insurgency, the Maoist, Ulfa.
Like, to be very honest, and even in the news, there is very little representation of the Northeast. Only when somebody through the army atrocities, when they really get like their own 5 minutes of fame, and like even after that, like 2-3 days later, it all goes away.
And there is a case of a clear injustice being done to Northeast and even other marginalized communities. That's where you have issues coming up every now and then in Kashmir, in Telangana, you go, even in Kerala now you have the Malabar issue coming up. So it's just a matter of like injustice being done because of hegemony of power. That's it.
Northeast is a beautiful place of India, which has been in the news, most controversial and most neglected.
Do you guys agree with the viewpoints?
We always neglected by the mainstream. That is also one of the failure on the academic. I will not blame anybody, but I myself will blame on the academic community. It's a one problem that we cannot understand the unity with diversity. So there is a big problem that altogether developments or insurgencies or border issues come up.
In my opinion, as a scholar, as a student of politics and history, I don't see these are the problems. The problem lies with the way we have imagined our nation, our state, our Indian nation state. I think unless we're able to reconceptualize our idea of nation, our idea of state, these problems will go on. There is no connection, absolutely no connection between development, lack of development, or insurgency. There's no connection at all. But since 60s, we've been told, there is no development, so there is insurgency. 2 decades later, what happens? It gets reversed. There is insurgency, so there is no development.
So you think there is a basic thing that they should reconstruct the basic ideologies first and then talk about it?
Rethink our nation state. The boundary lies in the mind. It's in the mind, it's in the idea. It's not on the physical surface.
According to the responses, it's very clear that the quantity of the media coverage is not necessary, whereas the quality is what matters. Now it's time for a short break. Do stay tuned to know more about Northeast, the true picture.
Really?
Really? It's time for a phone to save us from our phones. New Windows Phone, designed to get you in and out and back to life.
Many people think that most of the northeastern states are a part of China, On numerous occasions, they get treated like foreigners. The northeastern states also face a lot of issues due to the sharing of border. Let's see what Associate Professor Vasuki and Professor Sharma have to say on this.
A number of northeasterners, especially from states like Nagaland, Mizoram, etc., they have been going over to other parts of the state, other parts of the country, like say for example Chennai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Pune, Delhi, etc., to study. While I agree that there is a great sense of discontentment among the older generation that they have been alienated from the rest of the country, one would assume that with the younger generation, getting into other parts of the country for their education, they wouldn't feel this kind of an alienation. However, one still sees that, northeasterners tend to be a bit clannish. They minimize their interaction with people from other parts of the country. This I'm hoping will change in the next few years to come.
I don't think the Northeast has been made to feel part of the Indian Union. And so does it happen in the Northeast, where a certain unified Sarkari notion of what it is to be part of the country, what it is to be patriotic, what it is to be nationalistic, is sort of forced upon people in the Northeast without any sensitivity or empathy towards what they are all about.
Okay. Now we just saw that Mr. Vasuki told that northeasterners are a bit clannish. So do you agree with that viewpoint of his? Can you please tell?
But that's not entirely true, especially the part where he says they do not interact as much with other people from other states, because it's we've like Nordic people, there might share some common cultural backgrounds, some common food habits and all those things, but we try as hard as we can on our part, especially in today's world. People go out and interact with other people from other states. Students, we go to Onam celebrations, we go to Diwali celebrations with our classmates. We give that extra effort to be a part of this, to be accepted as a part of this country, and we give extra efforts to do so.
So do you think northeasterners are very clannish?
No, I agree with what she says, because they actually make an effort to mingle with us, and in fact I don't really see the point of calling them clannish, because there have been times when I have seen people who don't call them like who call them like chinkies, and it is us who separate them from us. So there comes the question of mingling. It is not they who are being clannish, it's us who are actually separating us from them. That's the problem here.
Do you people feel isolated? Can you please tell me?
We might feel isolated. It is obvious thing. Since I'm here in Hyderabad more than 4 years, lots of experience I had, and sometimes as my friends said that we tried our best to mingle with our other friends from outside from Northeast, but sometimes at the same time also we face the same problem. While we try to mingle with other people, then the reaction what we got is that, as he said, that it is themselves who separated from their life.
We see that the residents of the Northeast do bond well. This is because the mainstream India does not make an attempt to understand the history and culture of the Northeast. Let's take our talk on development issues a little further. For now, we have our opinion by a PhD scholar on the development issues. Let's take a look at it.
Northeast, one must say it's a very interesting region, sharing about 90% of its border as international border and just 10% with the national border. But if you are to talk about serious developmental issue, I think it's high time that we stop homogenizing the entire region or clubbing the whole region as one. Because it's not like the one size fits all. You know, you need different strokes for different states. Say for example, a state like Meghalaya has different issues, a state like Manipur, Mizoram has different issues. So if you're talking about development, the policy makers, issues of governance, I think each state has to be uniquely and specifically searched, and a lot of cleaning of the house is also required as far as the mindset of the people in the state is concerned, and also the mindset of the central government.
Now, can you please tell me what kind of developmental issues you people face out there?
We need infrastructure, but when we look into Northeast, there's no basic infrastructure anyway. Because if we produce vegetables or this kind of agricultural product, we need infrastructure. Because in order to carry our products to the mainland, we need road. We doesn't have that much of good road. And even the railway doesn't enter our place. This is a thing. Not only for that agriculture, educational development also, if we look into it. Northeast, if we look into Northeast, like Mizoram, we are one of the highest literacy rate. We have the highest literacy rate. But compared to Kerala, which is the next state, they have the IIMs, they have the NITs, but for us, for Mizoram, we didn't have anything. Like, we didn't even have the one engineering college or one medical college. See, infrastructure is also neglected.
So can you please tell me on that? Do you think it's fair to systematically neglect a place from being given infrastructural facilities?
The central government should look once again into the constitution and try to identify us as different states. Like, we are 8 different states. First, they have to learn the names of the 8 different states, and then maybe they'll be able to get down to the basic.
Okay, do you think that these 8 states have been developing at par with the other rest of the states in India?
Obviously not. I mean, it's the fact that we're talking about it here. So it's not been developed so much as the other parts of India. But I think that just the way we are talking about integrating Northeast with the mainstream India. What is mainstream India? As far as I'm concerned, it means bringing down the culture of the whole of India into the lowest common denominator and treating it as the mainstream. So why can't we find solutions where everybody can keep their culture, not go into the mainstream and keep their culture and be a nation? Why can't we find solutions like that?
So we have other set of vox pops wherein you will hear their opinion on clannish and nationalistic views. So let's have a look at it.
Every part of our country is developing, so I definitely do not think Northeast is not developing, but probably the way and the pace at which it's developing is we are not informed as much as we are informed about other places of India.
Yeah, education-wise, they are migrating to different places, different parts of India. They're educational-wise, they are developing, but I hope they're not that much developing as the India is growing.
They're supposed to be a part of India, but there is a huge alienation, which I hope we can build up.
They are a part of India. Means it's for a long time. Means the main India has seen them as segregated. But one thing I can say, as far as my friends know, they're very good people, and culturally they're very developed.
I honestly feel they kind of act like foreigners in a way. They get treated like foreigners.
So, what is your take on that? Do you agree with the point that you all act like foreigners and so you get treated that way?
Okay, I would like to answer that first. The thing is, what does she mean by foreigners? Okay, if you think us, when women from our states come up and they're independent, they're individualistic, they can express themselves without being told what to do, what not to do. If you think us with a different culture, we do not have our affinity towards, a more paternalistic society. We do not have any preconceived notions about what India is or what India should be like. We come out of our states over here thinking we are part of India. We do not have to have a conceived notion like what India is or what it should be.
Okay. So can you tell me what do you think about her point of view? That they act like foreigners and so they treated like that.
She has to change her psychology, I think. So it's not like that we are foreigner. We never feel like that. I don't agree with her.
So why should we classify some narrow, concept as Indian and others as non-Indian? I mean, the fault lies in her mind and not anywhere else. That's what I think.
You want to say something? Please do.
Yeah. See, I think she has a point also. Like last time I've read one newspaper. It's about Northeast culture identity and these foreign issues and all. And there it says like some of the students in New Delhi, and when asked about are you from Japan, and some of them they pretend they're from Korea. But the reason why they did is wherever you go and then people ask are you from Nepal, are you from Japan and all, it's easy to say no. But if we say no and where are you from, I'm from Mizoram, and they'll say where is Mizoram, and again then it's beyond Assam, and where is Assam. Then in order to escape those embarrassments, sometimes, we just have to say, are you from Japan? Yes, I'm Japan. Then we can go. So maybe to save time.
So before we wind up this major session, can I take the final points from everyone, please?
Let us not be partial in any way, everywhere.
I think it's media should see the two sides of the coin, and they should represent the people as they are. That's the only way we can get to know what is actually their need.
If we speak of Northeast, it's not a one place. It's made of 8 states. So we have different problem. So, and apart from that is that it's not only the dark side. There's a lighter side of our state.
So it has to be a two-way process. You can't just expect people to come in and then appreciate your culture or appreciate your region just like that. So you have to give that effort as well. So I think we have to give that effort, show that effort.
The Indian state should stop patronizing the 8 northeastern states as states who need help, who need to be carried towards development, and they should stop pushing policies which the government thinks is good for the states. I think they should be given more autonomy to decide for themselves what is good and work for it, sort of thing.
Instead of talking on differences, people should talk more on similarity.
Are these Northeast problem or India's problem? Will we leave it to the government to solve, blame others, or bring about a change? The Northeast Forum in the University of Hyderabad, in collaboration with the US Embassy, brought about this change. They organized a peace concert in the grounds of university. We leave you with the visuals of those. Good evening.
Sometimes it's hard for me to understand why we pull away from each other so easily, even though we're all walking the same road. Yet we build dividing walls between our brothers and ourselves. Change this world forever if you'll join with me. Join